Good day, good folks. You are listening to Talk That Keeps You Woke. And with your awakening, we hope that you will take in the information and knowledge we provide. So make sure you like and subscribe while you hop on this ride as we inform, persuade, entertain, and engage in discussion. Welcome to Pot Liquor Podcast, which is knowledge to feed your soul. I make up one half of Pot Liquor. I go by Dr. A, the inquisitive one, a great debater, Mr. Slow Talker, a rhetorician, and an all-around nice guy, and a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. The other half of Pot Liquor is my homie, my dear friend for more than 30 years, Kim Parker Jackson Esquire, the legal one, Mrs. Creativity, never obnoxious, the gifted one, a terrific lady, and a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Hey, what's happening, partner? How was your week?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. My week was good, Dr. A, and I am well. How are you, and how was your week?
I'm fine. Like I said last week, the days are narrowing down for the end of the semester. So everything looks good with my students, and I hope everything turns out all right for those who put the work in.
Well, all right.
As always, we start our show with a wow for the week. And our wow stands for words of wisdom. And this is coming from former First Lady Michelle Obama. Failure is an important part of your growth. Don't be afraid to fail. This is a sentiment that I teach at the university. And I say that because I feel like a lot of students today don't want to raise their hand because if they answer something wrong, they feel like it's a huge reflection on them. And you come to school to learn. What you don't know, you find out. And that's great about education. So I have something where I say I put my ignorance on this table, means like if I don't know something, I'm going to be the first to say, excuse me, what does that mean? And I'm okay with it. And usually after that happens, my fellow classmates will say, I'm glad you asked that question because I wasn't going to ask it, but I didn't know. And I don't think that is progressive. It doesn't get you anywhere. Your purpose when you're at a university is to consume knowledge and not to be afraid of knowledge that you don't know. And stop worrying about what other people think about you. What say you?
I agree wholeheartedly, and I would just add that there are many successful people who have failed along their path to success. And Michael Jordan famously said, he has failed over and over and over again, and that is why he's successful. And also, Thomas Edison famously said that he hasn't failed. There were just 10,000 ways that didn't work before that. So we all have to not be afraid to fail and just keep trying and never give up. So I agree. Words of wisdom indeed from our beloved Michelle Obama.
Yes. So once again, failure is an important part of your growth. Don't be afraid to fail.
And let us move on.
Oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on?
You know, before we get to what's going on, let us go to our first product.
Okay.
Okay, so our product for this week are Prada glasses. I know y'all are all familiar with the name Prada. Well, if you're not, it's kind of an expensive brand. But here are my glasses. Here's one pair. You've seen me wearing them on the show. My students call it the Harry Potter glasses. I find that funny. And also here's a another pair. These are more square shaped glasses, but they both do the job. They're both Prada, and I do like them.
And let us move on.
So what's going on in the world today? There's a lot happening. But we're going to start with the Texas Senate. So Texas Senate gives first okay to a bill that limits teaching political beefs. What this is actually saying is they feel that professors can't compel or force to students to believe in something that they're teaching. I've been teaching at the collegiate level since 2013. I don't know of any professor that does this. We open up about certain things, and I know for me, I'll speak for myself. There's just constantly questions and challenges and Q&As and good debates in the class. I don't tell my students, you must believe this or you must believe that. I don't say any of that. I don't really inquire too much about their beliefs because they're really not going to answer them. If I do it, I use this software or this program called Poll Everywhere. You should check it out. And it gives students complete anonymity. Like, so if I bring up something like, why would you or why would you not support the death penalty? They're allowed to answer, we don't know who says what, but then we can talk about, like, let's talk about the individual that says this, or talk about what this individual says to be more appropriate. So this is some effort to me to censor instructors. What say you?
I would have to agree with that this is just another bad idea from the Abbott administration. And I agree with the professor who said that their worry here is basically that Senate Bill 16, which this is a solution in search of a problem because there's no evidence that this is happening, first of all. So that's why I just think it makes absolutely no sense. There's, again, no evidence that professors are trying to compel their students to adopt any particular kind of belief, whether it's about a race, a sex, ethnicity, social, political, religious belief. Nobody is making anybody or compelling students to believe one way or the other. I believe most professors, and you can attest to this yourself, Dr. A, are basically helping their students to practice critical thinking skills. That's all. And so it doesn't matter. I know from law school, when there's an essay question that you have to do on a particular issue, on a particular legal issue, it's not as important what your overall answer is to a question. What's most important is your rationale and how you analyze the facts in a particular situation. And you may come out one way or the other. But what's most important is how you reason that conclusion out. So the same thing applies here for students that may be sitting in your class, Dr. A. They may be Democrats, they may be Republicans, they may have one particular belief on a specific issue and come out one way or the other. They could be for it or against it. And I would surmise, I would say that a professor wouldn't necessarily care as much how they come out. They would care more about how they can support their position, how they may argue for or against a particular position. And that's what we go to school to learn, how to think critically. So I just think this is another overreach by, um, the state senate here. And just a bad idea. I mean, it's a waste of time, a waste of effort for legislators to come up with these make believe. They make believe that there's a problem, and then they come up with these crazy quote unquote solutions. So now they want to stop teachers or stop professors from teaching particular issues. I don't even know what the goal is here, but I would say there's no problem to solve here. So
Yeah, when I teach, I explain my reasoning behind my beliefs.
mhm.
Like, say for instance, um, a lot of people have been a success story in the neighborhood that I grew up with. The majority of the people, because it was a cycle, the majority of people that I grew up have, and I'm proud to say, have broken that cycle, and have moved up into different socioeconomic statuses. Um, but I would tell my students the reason why I vote a certain way is based on my frame of reference. Like, I am a proponent of welfare. I'm not ashamed to say it. And the myth I hear from my students is like they don't work. They're just trying to siphon and get money off of uh, the government. And where I grew up, the ladies did work, families did work that were on welfare. So it just augmented, which they needed help, they needed housing, they needed food stamps, they needed health care, they needed those things to survive, a tough life. And they got up and they went to work on top of that. Um, and their kids benefited from that. Like I said, a lot of us, broke the cycle. And so, but I tell them that's the reason why I vote that way, because I still think people of all races need that help. And I think you measure a country on how they help their their young kids and their old folks, or their disabled folks. If you have the money to do it, you know, this country is successful enough where we have the money to do it, and we do it, and that's a good thing.
I
But I
agree.
don't force them to pick up that belief. If they're like, "Well, I vote against welfare," I'm like, "Okay, fine. I don't have an issue with that."
So Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said liberal professors determined to indoctrinate our students with their woke brand of revisionist history have gone too far. Now, that statement is just making me think that the Republican Party, and specifically Texas, here, basically thinks that I'm beginning to think they think education in general is part of a liberal agenda, a liberal democratic agenda. And they think just teaching facts, I think they have a problem with that. Just teaching facts about our history, they have a problem with, because information is enlightening. And so they're thinking if professors are teaching our history, that people are going to be indoctrinated. Now, how is that possible? If you're teaching facts from our history, how are you indoctrinating someone? So I'm beginning to think that they're just attacking education in general. And that's what's unfortunate about the situation and about the Republican Party in general. They're becoming the party of anti-education, basically.
I think students, and I'll speak particularly to white students, are going home and challenging their parents
Mm-hmm.
with information that they are receiving. They also feel like, if you look at social media and media, there are a lot of students out there campaigning that are quote unquote what they call woke students campaigning. And it gives the student at the collegiate level an option or to way to look at something else that's articulated by a different face. And I think, and this is just my theory, I think parents are worried about that and they voice their complaints. And so politicians come out and they say things like, excuse me, excuse me, they're against this woke education. This has been going on for years, since before, like in the 60s, and governments never uh, banned anything. So why now? Like, why are you doing it now? This professors have been spewing their ideas and their beliefs. I'm not still going to say no professor forced me on their beliefs. And I've been in education for a while. That's never happened. So I think that they're worried now that it may be starting to stick, and
Well,
their kids are bringing it home, so they show concern. What you think?
well, I think that people are beginning to become enlightened with the truth about what has happened in America in our past. For example, with all of the new information that has come, with all of the new information that has come out about some historic figures, after which many monuments have been named, and we come to find out that these were people from the Confederacy who promoted segregation, promoted racial hatred, and all of those things. People are now becoming aware of that, and once we become aware of it, you have to take responsibility for your knowledge, and things start to change. And so I think the Republican Party is trying to stem the tide of the change that is happening. They don't want any more monuments to come down. But once, as long as we remain ignorant and in the dark, then nobody will be, we will be none the wiser. Nobody will have to demand that these monuments come down. But once you are armed with that knowledge and information, you are responsible for making a change. And they know that if our young people become more and more educated about the history of this country, they're going to make changes, and we're not going to have the status quo continue anymore. And so I think that's what they're trying to prevent. And that's why they're attacking education. They would rather their children remain ignorant regarding our history. Because once they know, once again, you are responsible for what you know. You cannot let things continue as they have been, and you are going to want to make a change. See what I'm saying?
I got you.
Yeah.
And let us move on.
Okay. And the walls came tumbling down. A segregation wall was constructed right near Morgan State University back in the 30s and 40s. And now they are tearing down that wall, which is very interesting because I am an alum of Morgan State University. And I would like to say, while I was there, the late Dr. Lucia Hawthorne, who was also my advisor there, told the students about this wall. It was right. I used to live on the street right behind it too. My second year, in my dorm, my dorm window. Shout out to Cummings Hall, was right across from Sofer Library, which is not there anymore. And behind Sofer Library was the wall on Hillen Road, and the wall was crumbling down while we were at the institution.
Mm.
It was a wall, architecturally it was beautiful. It had like the little big circles in the wall that they built, but we also knew it was a segregation wall. Um, Found out like white folks that lived in these communities were upset that black folks were being allowed to be like assimilated and indoctrinated into society with, uh, equal rights and things of that nature. So they didn't want to see the black kids going to school when they moved to school. I think they moved to school in 1917, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and they put it where Cold Spring and Helen. And I remember these discussions, these talks.
Wait, but the wall was built in like 42, 43, 1942, 1943.
Right.
Right? Okay. Go
Right.
ahead.
So, but they just got to because the school when it started was small,
Right. And then
1,000.
they saw all these Negroes coming in and they were like,
Right.
wait a minute now.
We don't want to
We
see y'all going to get an education.
this is a white neighborhood. We don't want all these Negroes
But it's
over.
it's 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 amazing that it took this long because I graduated in May of 1991. So you're
That's
talking
the
about
question that I was gonna ask
30,
you.
32 years ago, like, when I left. And so when I saw the news, I was like, well, yeah, it's about time they've done that. And it's just gonna look better anyway.
Well, I'm
Um,
curious, like what so Dr. Hawthorne brought this to the class's attention. First of all, what did Dr. Hawthorne teach?
she
Just
was a
curious.
communication professor.
Communications.
And she was also
And
your sorrow.
oh, okay. And so she, of course, the torch of wisdom being passed. But she told you guys about the history of this wall. And what was the general reaction of the student body?
But see, the general reaction was like, wow. But
Like, wow, we didn't know that, and we've been looking at this wall all this time, and we didn't know that's what it was for.
no, like, wow, that was fucked up what they did. Like that.
Okay, but here, but I do have another question. Can you explain? So, did the wall actually prohibit you from moving into that neighborhood? Like, you couldn't walk into that
No, you could
neighborhood?
walk up the street and turn because that's what I was gonna say.
Okay,
When we came to Morgan, the neighborhood was all black. It was nothing but black folks there.
okay.
Yeah. By the time we got there, fall of '87, there might have been some white folks there, but the majority of people, because I lived on one of the blocks, and it was a deep a large community. It was row houses, attached row houses.
But
Yeah.
was it so? It looked nice though. It wasn't like an eyesore. It was like you
Well,
just thought it was a like a graffiti wall or a
no,
decorative
it
wall.
was the parts that were fully erected looked
Uh-huh.
nice. The parts that were falling down, you were like, they need to, you know, take that down because you could walk across the grass and step over a part of the wall that was all the way down into the
Oh,
neighborhood.
okay.
Right,
And how
just one of the blocks though.
oh, I was about to ask you, like, how many blocks do you think it spanned?
It spanned probably like 5 or 6 blocks, maybe.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
incredible when you think about it. It's like people have so much hate in their hearts that
Mhm.
they literally built a wall. And that's what I think of when I think like Trump wanting to build a wall to keep, immigrants from coming into the United States. Anytime you build a wall, if there's just no positive connotation to building a wall, you know what I mean? It's like you want that division. So that's unfortunate. I'm glad that it's coming down now, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was unfortunate. But like I said, given that there were black people living over there now, there wasn't a thought to tear it down then. I'm thinking that was the reason why they probably didn't tear it down. Um, but since then, there's been a lot of renovation done at Morgan State, and the campus was beautiful when I was there, and it's even more beautiful now. So
I was also curious because it was approved by like a zoning board, which to me sounds like a local um governing the local governing body is what made the decision to erect the wall. And so I was just wondering, just like you, like why did it take so long for them to tear it down? And then who actually approved it? Would the state have to approve it, tearing the wall down? Because it's not like it belonged to Morgan State University and they could just
it
unilaterally
probably was
say,
the city. It was the city.
yeah, yeah. And I just thought about that because it says that the president of the university, David Wilson, said we had no choice but to tear it down. It was time for us to just tear down that hate. And it just made it seem like it was Morgan's decision, you know?
Yeah,
So
and I'm sure like they didn't have a fight with the city to get it torn down or the neighborhood to get it torn down. I think Morgan is located like in the northeast section of Baltimore. Um,
mhm.
nice neighborhoods, middle class families. At least it was when I was there. It was quiet. There was some, areas, spots they told you to look out and walk with a group of people if you're going to certain places, like just up to the 7-Eleven and things of nature. But all
Just to be
universities,
safe. Yeah.
yeah, just precautions, like all universities, will put that out.
The other thing I thought was interesting is that a spokesperson for Morgan, her name is Cheryl Stewart, she says destroying the wall is part of a major reconstruction and expansion at the university called Morgan Momentum. I thought that was nice. So they're just trying to move forward. And the last thing that I found interesting was that the president of the university said that they don't plan to ignore the past now that the wall is gone. And instead, they're going to keep a small part of the wall in place as a historical marker so students can learn about the dark history of the wall. How do you feel like about that as an alum of the school? Like, because to me, it's almost like keeping Confederate monuments. It's like,
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, a lot of people had those arguments that if you keep the Confederate statues up, you get to learn who this individual is. Other people were like, "Why are we honoring these individuals?" That
right.
kind of was the beef then, because I would say to Republicans who want to do away with not teaching, the bad history of
Mhm.
the United States, then why would y'all want to maintain the statues? Because if the statue is outside of one of the schools, what are you going to do? Just talk about the positives of this individual? Like, and I'm specifically talking about Robert E. Lee, and there were a lot of people that were bad. So I have no issue getting away for that. As a part of a reminder, Republicans feel like, what's the need to remember bad things that the United States did? They feel like all you're doing is making the country more divisive, as in your lack of opportunities for minorities don't make things divisive. Like your lack of opportunity. And I know some Republicans, like, it's just black folks have a begging mentality. They're always trying to get jobs, like create your own jobs. They're like, well, the banks treat us unfair, and there's a litany of things that go on. But as an alum, to answer your question, I'm okay with that. I'm always, I'm an instructor, so
Yeah.
more knowledge is, always the way to go for me. So I don't have an
Yeah.
issue for
And
that.
I agree. I mean, if you don't know the history, you're doomed to repeat it. So I think we all need to know the dark part of our history so that we won't repeat it and we can start to see signs and prevent, nip it in the bud. So I'm all for it.
And let us move on.
But I heard that some people don't like
All right. So Tim Scott is about to throw his hat in the race for president. And because of this news, we wanted to speak about him and Black Republicans. But I want to hear that beat one more time.
But I heard that
Hey, hey, hey.
Shout out to Stetson Sonic and James Brown. This is one of the hottest beats when we were growing up.
Damn.
All right. So, yes, let's talk about Tim Scott and the Black Republicans. I'm going to let you start this one off.
Remember when we played culture? Remember we played culture tags?
Yeah.
IDGAF.
Yeah. But for the
That's
sake of our show, let's not IDGAF.
that's how I really feel about it. But at the end of the well, I will just say that I think Tim Scott, first of all, he's just announced that he is establishing an exploratory committee to run for the presidency. So it's not a done deal yet. I think he's putting his feelers out to see what the response will be, see how much money he can raise, and then, determine what really the viability of any particular any presidential campaign would be. But I think really he is taking the Kamala Harris approach here. I think he's actually running for vice president. I think he wants to be on a ticket with Trump because he said in 2021 that if Trump announces that he's running for president, that he's not going to put his hat in the ring. And so why else would he be backtracking on that? So I honestly think he's campaigning really to be whoever the probably Trump, but whoever the Republican nominee is, he wants to be on the ticket with that person as a vice president. That's what I think. So what do you think?
Well, I'm not surprised. He didn't respond to that statement that he issued. Like, if Trump is running again, I'm not going to run. And your argument or your theory is plausible. He could be doing that. But this just sparked me to have a conversation about Black Republicans. Because I think a lot of them get a bad rap. And I think that, I always say that Black folks aren't monolithic.
I agree.
And so a lot of people just say, hey, if you're a Black Republican, they just throw you to the wolves. Like, if you support Trump, because there are a lot of Black Republicans that don't support Trump.
Right. I think when people say Black people should not support the Republican Party, I think they're saying what it represents. Not every Black Republican is going to disagree with issues that Democrats agree with. Do you see what I'm saying? Because a lot of, quiet as kept, truth be told, there are many Democrats, Black Democrats, who are very conservative. And so they try to polarize us by, saying that the the Republican Party is conservative, the Democratic Party is liberal, but it really depends on the issue. But as a whole, the Republican Party, I think, is anti-diversity, anti-education, anti Constitution, as far as I'm concerned. So, I mean, it just, it's issue by issue for me. But I would have to say, overall, I don't see how a Black person could support this Republican Party. They're anti-democratic because there's all kinds of voter suppression laws that they want to pass.
But there are two sectors of the Republican Party. There's a radical, like what's her name, Margie Taylor Greene, and then there are other folks that don't believe in what she believes in.
I get that, but you're still supporting this party as a whole. Do you see what I'm saying? And I don't see how you could do it. I really don't. I mean,
they might be supporting like their stake in the party. Like, if they're running for a position, if they speak out against the Republican Party, they'll lose the Republican votes. And they're playing a dangerous game, but they're playing this game because they want to remain in their current positions.
Okay, so are we talking about Black? See, there's two different things. Are we talking about Black politicians, or are we talking about Black people who align themselves with the Republican Party? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm talking about both.
Okay.
Because the people we have up, for those who are watching on our video streams, the people we have up here are people that are in Congress and then used to be in Congress, not just in Congress, like a part of, like we have Condoleezza Rice is up here, Ben Carson, Colin Powell, Tim Scott, Candace Owens, Michael Steele, Caldwell. There's
Condoleezza Rice.
Yeah, I started with her. Tim
Oh,
Scott
you did?
up
Okay.
here. So there are a lot of people,
Daniel Cameron,
right?
Michael Steele.
Cameron,
Did you say Michael Steele?
Michael Steele, yeah,
Yeah, but see, remember Kamala Harris said that America is not a racist country. So your statement about black politicians trying to sort of straddle the fence to remain in power, it happens with Democrats and Republicans. I mean, that's just being a politician.
right. That's what
But
I'm saying. Like some of them
right,
are playing that. Like some people will say it don't matter; they shouldn't be playing that role, and I understand that.
the black politician shouldn't be playing that role.
Yeah,
I mean, if this is what they truly believe, it's what they believe. I mean, it's nothing. I'm to the point now where at the end of the day, we all only have one vote. My job is not to try to convince you that you shouldn't vote Republican. I really that's up to you because we, like I said, we all have one vote. I know how I'm going to vote. I just have decided as a person that I do not want to support the Republican Party. I don't want them to be in power. So I'm going to exercise my one vote to vote Democratic because that's the party that I want to be in control. Now, are they solving every issue, every problem that we have as Americans? No, but it is the party that most aligns with what I believe in. And so that's all any of us can do. I'm tired of trying to convince black people that they shouldn't be voting Republican. Not this Republican Party that wants to suppress our vote, that wants to remain in power, wants to take away a woman's autonomy over her body, that doesn't want everyone to have health care and be able to make a decent living with one job because they don't want to raise the minimum wage. I mean, no, negative. So that's my belief. So I, the I have a problem when black Republicans try to convince me that I shouldn't vote Democrat, and that they try to convince me that the Republican Party has my best interests at heart as a black person. That's where I draw the line. That's ridiculous.
I find it. See, it's difficult to have blanket statements about either party. That's first place. One thing I say about the black Republicans and Democrats, I'm a registered independent for a reason. Um, is like hyperbole. That's the word I'm gonna use.
When you
Like
make general statements.
yeah, like overhyping things. Like you have the nerve, like Tim Scott said, I'm glad that the Democrats are afraid of me. Like my life and what I live just shows how much they lie. And so I'm saying everybody that's a Democrat, that's a lot of African Americans, let's talk about them that are Democrats. Like they live your life too. So if because you're not the only person that grew up financially impaired. You're not the only person that was poor
Right.
in the country. So just to have a blanket statement, and I say this against the Democrats too, just have a blanket statement to say like one party is just awful. Like when you can't pull out a person's good points and say anything, I have an issue with you.
Right. And
Like when
even
I talk to a student, like if they do good, if they say they did bad on the test, the first thing I'm gonna do is tell them the good things that they did, right? And then I'm gonna go into the poor things and areas they need to improve on. I never hear any side saying like, well, there's nothing good about what either party does, right? Um, When you're talking like that, it's a turnoff to most people because you're insulting people's intelligence.
Right. And that's why I brought up the point that many black people have conservative views about particular issues. You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying? So it's not all one way or all another way. But at the end of the day, we
but
have a
that's not
choice.
said often though.
What's not said often?
That is not all the way one way or all the way the other. I think our discussions and our arguments start from that point. Like, stop saying that everybody that's a part of one of these parties are bad people, or stupid because they think a particular way. A lot of these folks are highly educated. They just have different beliefs. So why are we stumping their beliefs? My problem and issue is the incendiary language used against one another. I'd rather you say, well, the Republican Party is for abortion. And if you're for abortion, then yeah, you may want to align yourself with the Republican Party. I believe in reproductive.
You mean against abortion? You said for
Well, the
abortion.
Republican Party is for abortion.
Republican Party is
I'm
anti-abortion.
sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. Right. I mean, you're
I
right.
knew what I knew
I
what you
made a
meant.
comment on
I
that.
know what you
The
mhm.
Republican Party is against abortion. So if
Right.
you are against abortion, you should align yourself with the Republican Party. Thanks for that correction. That's
Mhm.
what I'm saying. And you can say that and be cool because everybody doesn't have to be, for reproductive rights. I don't see why people get angry over that.
Because see, but the thing is that it's not as if the Democratic Party is for nobody is very few people are for abortion. Nobody wants to have an abortion like, oh, this is fun. Let's have some abortions. It's not like that. Women just want to have the right to make a choice and a decision if they need to. Nobody, I don't know any woman who is excited or eager to have an abortion. We just want to have the option to make a medical decision about our own bodies. That's all. And so, that's why I say many black people, you know how black people are. We're very conservative when it comes to sex, especially we teach our young people to abstain as long as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm saying you making a blanket statement too, homie. You
okay.
don't know that. A lot of people, because I ask students in my class how many parents have talked to them about sex. They don't. The church may say something if they attend church, but a lot of them get their lessons from their friends. So what
Yeah,
I'm
but I'm
saying
just
is like we're
yeah,
conservative on some issues, yeah, because I do
yeah,
agree that we don't think you should just get rid of a baby to get rid of a baby. But what I'm saying is that African Americans who are against reproductive rights, let's say that, let's use that, then use the word abortion. The
exactly.
reason why they are for that because they feel those that are Christian feels like thou shalt not kill. And so that's their reason. I'm like, okay, that's your reason. That's why we got to bring it to a vote. But when we start calling people stupid because they have that belief, that's when the beef starts, and that's when it just
Who call
intensifies.
people stupid?
I hear it on the media all the time,
Okay.
so it's
Well,
on.
I don't say that because like I said, at the end of the day, we each have one vote. It's just that the Republican Party is going to make it as difficult as possible for you to exercise that one vote, especially if you're black, because all of these voter suppression laws are in effect. They mostly negatively impact black towns, like black cities.
Yeah, but I haven't seen, and I could be wrong on this one. I haven't seen a black person pushing that agenda. Not one black Republican talking about voter suppression. Like you need IDs when you come to this place or that. I haven't heard. I'm not saying that hasn't happened. I'm just like when they have these black Republicans on CNN or MSNBC or Fox, they
No,
most.
But they'll say, why would you not want to be able to?
ID
Why
somebody.
would you not want people to have to show their ID to
Right.
vote?
Right.
Like that's just reasonable. They want your ID to vote, but
Right.
they don't want no registration if you get a gun. They don't want no background check if you get a gun,
Right.
but they want you to show your ID to vote. Like
Right.
what? How
But
much sense does that make?
but see,
It
that's
don't
what
even
I'm
make sense.
saying. When you go there, when you talk about how much sense, you're insulting. What I'm saying is the language between black folks. Hold on,
I
between
didn't
black.
call anybody stupid. I
No,
said the
you're
legislation is
implying.
stupid.
Okay. You're in, you just said what they say, right? And to
Right.
you, it's like, what kind of sense does that make? It makes sense to them, right? That's what I'm saying. So when you say that emphatically like that, I'm a professor, so excuse that. So to me, we as black Republicans and black Democrats, right, should be able to have a conversation that is not incendiary and is not
Okay.
smart mouth,
That's true.
smart lipped.
That's true. Let me
Because at the end
let
of
me
the day, when
rephrase
we
it.
go home, these black families, what they got black kids, they
Okay, let
got
me
black
rephrase it.
grandbabies, right?
Let me rephrase it. That's a contradiction. It's a contradiction to require somebody to show an ID to vote, but you don't have to do a background check or register to openly carry a weapon.
When I see black Republicans dancing around issues, this is what they do. So when they ask, so you don't think there should be background checks, or you don't think assault weapons should be banned? This is what I hear some of them say. We can visit that issue. We can discuss that issue. They don't vote. They don't say, yeah, I believe. And yeah, I think there's two of them that do. But they don't jump and say, you know, yes and no. They try to dance around it. These politics that are black Republicans. Now
But
I know the black Republicans that are not politicians say, yeah, I think they should have a background check or you know, or they should ban assault weapons. So what I'm saying, there's a lot of similarities, but they're never talked about because again,
I
divide.
know, but see, you're comparing individuals versus parties. Do you see what I'm saying?
But we talking
So
about
there are
black Republicans.
individuals in both parties who have
We don't.
differing
We talking about black
positions
Republicans,
on particular issues. Do you
right?
see?
We're challenging black Republicans are being challenged because they're with a party
Right,
that a lot of African Americans disagree with.
right.
So we're trying to say, like, what are you getting out of it? And they'll tell you things like when they talk with, I forgot this guy's name, Terrence something. He wears the black glasses. He is a straight Trumper. And they bring him on the television because he's very provocative. What black folks need to start saying is like, I don't want to debate Terrence. Democrats need to say that I don't want to debate him. So if you have me on with him, I'm not addressing anything he says. Now
Well, I
he
think,
makes some points, but some points he makes is just you could tell like he can't speak out against Trump. So I would start off with, is there anything you would like Donald Trump to change? And he's gonna hit you. Well, the Democrats need to, but I didn't ask you that. We'll ask you that after you answer this question. What you're trying to do is that I'm trying to have a discussion with you that doesn't get incendiary.
but
And if you say no, that's fine.
you said what do black Republicans get out of supporting the Republican Party? I would argue that many of them are basically just trying to be contrarian for selfish reasons because it increases their bottom line. They get paid, they get checks for being contrarian and for supporting,
That's what I said
the
earlier, though.
Republican Party on specific issues. Yeah. So
Right,
that's what
because they
but you
politicians.
asked again, like, what do they get out of it? That's
No, I'm
many
saying
of them,
that's
that's what
what
they get out of it.
no, I'm saying that's what I'm not asking that question. I'm saying that's what a lot of African Americans are asking that
Oh,
question.
like what are they getting out of it? Yeah.
Yeah, what are they getting out of it?
A check. They're getting a check and they're
You
maintaining
get a
power
check, the Democrats get checks.
for supporting Republican positions.
No, for supporting Democratic positions.
Okay. But I mean, but they truly believe what they're
Exactly.
Right.
So you can't say I know you're not saying that the black Republicans don't believe in anything they say. They're just doing it to get a check.
In some cases, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. And that is why I think Tim Scott couldn't really defend his position on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. He couldn't really defend it. All he could do was say, I'm not voting for it. Because his explanation of why he wasn't voting for it didn't make sense. I just was like, make it make sense. The math is just not mathing. And so you have to conclude that if someone, just like we were discussing before, you have to be able to articulate your rationale for supporting one position versus another. So,
I agree.
yeah.
And let us move on.
All right. So we had one other story to bring to you, but for the sake of time, we're going to jump over that. We're going to get into our second plug of the day, which is our brand.
All right. So today we want to talk about Chanel. Now, I would say one of my favorite brands, but I haven't been able to purchase a Chanel bag in a long time since I've had kids, but I am a bag girl. Some of us girls really enjoy carrying our handbags. And so I want to share a couple of my favorites from Chanel. So this is my Chanel Grand Shopping Tote. Chanel Grand Shopping Tote in the beige color. It's more like a camel color. And it's your basic tote bag with the iconic Chanel symbol on the front. And yeah, I purchased the 3 Chanel bags that I own. I purchased before I had children. And so here is another, and you will see that I only purchased the classic ones. This second one is my Chanel clutch. This is the one that I will carry if I'm going to an after 5 event in the evening. You just want like a clutch, something you can put under your arm.
See, my girlfriend went and purchased that because it don't have the C's on it. Well, I don't see the C's on it.
Well, the C's are on the clasp.
Oh, okay. Then she will hold it that way.
Like, look at my clutch. Yes, this is a very classic handbag. They still have this, and you will see that, especially when I buy like luxury items, I will usually get like the classic piece because I keep it forever, and they're expensive, and I will always be in style. And here's the iconic Chanel flat bag, and this is the medium size. I have it in black. And yes, I love this bag. It's classic, the classic Chanel quilting. And this one has the gold hardware. I think the clutch has the silver hardware. But yes, I love this. Is a nice bag to take out in the evening when you don't want to carry a lot of things, but you still want to be fashionable and cute. Maybe go to dinner. And
So let's talk about prices of those.
honestly, I can tell you how approximately how much I paid for these, but the prices, and that's the other thing with Chanel, which is why I haven't purchased one since I had kids,
The
is
prices
because the prices go up every year. So they've just
So what's
signaled
your
to me that
guesstimate on how much they cost?
they no longer want me as a customer. They've made that very clear because it's totally out of my price range now. But so for the tote bag, um, I have no idea how much this could probably be $5,000 right now.
How much was it when you purchased it?
I think I purchased this in 2007 for like $2,000, $2,200, and that was crazy back then. And this the um
The
the
flat.
classic flat bag, this is in a medium size. I think I bought this, oh my God, early probably 2000 something. And It was like $1,100, and I thought that was outrageous. This bag today could cost you $6,000. No joke. Um, and so in that case, I consider it an investment because I could probably sell it for that now or somewhere close to that. And this, I paid $2,000 for this, which is outrageous. I don't know what I was thinking, but they're classic and I love them and I'll have them, forever. I would never buy one today, but that's just me.
And let us move on.
We have a question. It's a question. Address the question. This is a question. So what's the question? Answer the question. Okay, the question of the week. What are two things you can never eat for breakfast? So email us at potliquorshow@gmail.com. First one answers gets a surprise. The last week's question was what goes up but never comes down, and the correct answer for that was age. Your age continues to go up and not come down.
Indeed.
And let us move on.
Like this. Keep on.
Hey.
Never say die. Keep on. Like this. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Like this.
So today we want to talk about Dr. Percy Levon Julian, our little known Black history fact. Dr. Percy Julian, born in 1899, was one of the most important scientists in the 20th century. His 1935 invention of glaucoma medicine is counted among the top contributions in the history of U.S. chemistry. He graduated first in his class from DePaul University with a bachelor's degree in chemistry and earned his master's degree in chemistry from Harvard University. He was awarded a PhD from the University of Vienna. He received the Spingarn Medal from the NAACP. He was the founder of Julian Laboratories, and he was elected to the National Academy of Sciences. He has a U.S. Postal Service stamp in his honor, and he was recognized as a national, and it was recognized as a national landmark by the American Chemical Society. Dr. Percy Levon Julian, our little known Black history fact.
All right. All right.
And let us move on.
Black. Black, black, black. Black on black, black. Yeah. Hey. Okay, black, 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 black on black, black, my thoughts so black, 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 I'm black, my skin is so black, I'm rocking that black on black is black. Rims on this black wheel.
All right. So this is our segment by Black. We look for a company that's owned and run by an African American and promote it. This one is by a popular tennis player by the name of Venus Williams, and her product is called 11. It's kind of like sportswear, a lot of seems like comfortable tennis outfits, but they're actually just like, I think, comfortable sportswear. Price is not that much. I've seen things from like $26 to like $128. So you could check out Venus's 11. I don't know how well it's doing, but it's been around for a while, so I hope it's doing well. if you are watching this on our video stream, you can see we have, what is it, like 2, 4, 7 different products, from her glasses to her visor, her tank tops, her skirts, her sweatpants.
Super cute.
She has something called skirts, like it's a skirt and shorts, and she's
Yeah.
skirts. So, what's your take on this?
I like it from what I see. I like what you're showing here, and I would actually wear everything I see. And I like the colors too, like that beautiful green color. I like the yellow. I like the lilac. I love the colors. Perfect for spring and summer, and super cute. The pleated little tennis skirt. I like it. Very nice.
Yeah, I remember they did a special on her, and she was talking about this, and this was, I want to say she's been doing this more than 10 years,
Hmm.
because when she started doing it, she still was like prominent. So was her sister.
Hmm.
And I understand her sister has a brand too, but we're gonna focus on Venus this week. We may, visit Serena next week. But Venus Williams, this is 11 that we're checking out. So check out hers. You can find it on her website.
And let us move on.
Oh, hell no. We usually do it for you too. Oh, hell no. All righty. So our hell no this week is, sorry. This is Mark Teller, who had a racist rant video. He coaches in the state of Georgia, and I don't know why he recorded this, what was going on in his mind. But yeah, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I listened to the video and it was apparently recorded by his friend, someone he knows named Roe, because he referred to the person during the video. So this person, Roe, recorded this, and I don't know if Roe stabbed him in the back or what, but next thing you know, this is a viral video laced, I mean, with the N word left and right. And I mean, it's just appalling that this white coach who coached predominantly, I think it's
Black
reported
people.
that 95% of the kids that he coached were African American children. And I mean, the way the N word rolled off his tongue, you could tell he was very comfortable using this word. And so it's a word that is apparently a part of his lexicon that he uses frequently. And it's just, it's disappointing. I mean, because, we would like to think as parents that when we entrust adults with our children, that they have their best interests at heart and they're not harboring any negative opinions or stereotypes about our children. But we're finding out time after time, whether it's a teacher or a coach or a, a priest or a church official that has negative views of Black people in general and would use racial epithets to refer to them. So it's very disheartening. Um, and I obviously think that this guy he should not be around another child, let alone Black children. He shouldn't be around any children because this is, he may have a negative influence on non-Black children to,
It's amazing to me that you work with African Americans and these are kids. You have a chance to mold their lives and talk to them, and you're with them all this time. And there were a couple of Black players that were like still cool with him, like talk to him on a regular basis and said like, I didn't know he was a man like this. We talk often. And to have him make these videos now is just, it didn't make sense. So all we can do is, like, pray for Mark Taylor. Hope he
But
gets his situation correct
but
corrected.
okay, but I just wanted to raise the issue of, I mean, since you have kind of convinced me that I should try to see both sides of an issue, and I think what he did was reprehensible, but I could see, maybe, I don't know, but maybe he felt so comfortable being around black people where he felt like, how some non-black people think that because they appreciate the black community and they may feel comfortable in the black community, they feel as if they can use these terms.
But he didn't use the term, and I see your point. He didn't use
Yeah,
the term in an endearing way. He wasn't riding through Atlanta saying, "Yeah, these all my niggas out here. What up? What up, Tyrone?" He wasn't saying
true.
that. He
That's
was
true.
saying his intent was definitely seen on the video. He
But let
was
me
in a different way.
but let me ask you this. What do you think is worse? Do you think it's worse to harbor these ill feelings about black people and not ever let it come out? Or do you think it's better to just be upfront with it? If you don't like black people, or if you think it's cool to use the N word, then you're just going to be out with it and let us know so we can govern ourselves accordingly. Like sometimes it's the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. Like what do you think is worse? Because we don't know.
If you never know the devil, like, there could be a homicidal, psychopathic murderer that can help you change your tire and get you out of a situation where there was a storm and you didn't even know that. You thought he was a good citizen, or being a good citizen or a kind citizen at that point in time. And then 2 weeks later, you see that they were on a manhunt from them. So you were like, wow, God watched over me then. And I'm saying, you understand what I'm saying? So you don't know. Not 'cause if you knew this guy was coming toward you, yeah, you would get out of Dodge. It's like, oh, no, I'll ride this flat tire until the rim bends. I get that. So I don't.
I
That's a
guess what
pretty
I'm
tough
saying
question.
is, I guess what I'm saying is many of us we live and work around these kinds of white people, but we never know that they are harboring these stereotypes about black people or harboring ill will towards black people because it just never comes out of their
This is
mouth.
not popular. What I'm going to say, that
What?
works with every race.
I know,
I'm
but
sure
my
every
question
race.
to you is
Hold on, let me finish. You. So that would be to anybody. Like, should we come out to? I know black people that can't stand white people. Straight up, I don't fuck with them. And I know you probably know black folks like that too. So and we in a workplace full of white folks, right? So should they know, right, that you
Well,
feel that way?
yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is I'd rather know than not know. I'm glad because the truth eventually will come out. If you work around someone like that, eventually it's going to come out. Do you know what I mean? So I'm
I
glad
would
that this
hope
guy.
my relationship with him or her on the job would change the way they feel. Like when
That's
they
a
get
good
to
way to
know,
look at it.
like if they get to know you and you go out to lunch and you be your funny self and things of that nature, then they get to know, say, I'm giving you a fictional girl, a woman on your job, Barbara. She's funny too. Y'all invite her out. She has fun. And then all of a sudden, like, she's like, well, I was told African Americans was this way, but I see they're friendlier than the friends that I have. So so I would rather not know, because if someone told me and I still had to work with them, it just wouldn't. I don't want to go in thinking every day like, is this, and like, now if he didn't work with me, okay, I understand that. But if I work with him, like, I don't want to be working with somebody who harbors ill feelings toward black bodies. No.
I'm going to go on record saying I do want to know. And I actually would also say that I think that I would be there may be, some cases where I wouldn't know, but I feel like I can read people pretty well. And I think I would know whether this is a person that I don't really want to interact with or be around
I mean,
because
these black football players, then
Well, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about that, but this is just crazy. Oh my God. Who knows what this
It
guy
was
has.
incredibly stupid and ignorant on his part, though.
And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he responds or has anything to say.
I
Or
mean, they went to his house. He didn't respond to anything.
I hope he's fired.
I think he did get let go.
And let us move on.
Okay, our last plug for the week is our podcast plug. And this is Social Proof, Guide for Everyday Entrepreneurs by David Shands and Donnie Wiggins. This David Shands, and I can say to you too, is a person that we need to start listening to. He's big on podcasts, and he feels that doing podcasts can change your your world, your financial world.
Mhm.
And even if you don't have a lot of followers, but shout out to the folks who are following us at Pot Liquor Podcast. So this is Social Proof, a guide for everyday entrepreneurs. He has more than one podcast, but I was put on by a friend, said, "Hey, you should check this out," and it's pretty good. Pretty.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check that out.
And let us move on.
All right. So we want to give it up to Justin Jones and Justin Pearson. They were reinstated. We talked about them last week, but they were reinstated back in the Tennessee Senate. So kudos to them and keep up your fight, brothers. Anything you have to say about that?
They did the right thing.
Okay.
Thank God.
All right. So with that being said, we will.
What's going on?
Oh. Well, as
Here we go. As always, we go to our recap of the week. Our plugs first. Prada glasses, Chanel bag. We were stunting on them today, Cam. And our podcast was Social Proof Guide for Everyday Entrepreneurs. All right, our stories we did. Texas Senate gives first okay to bill that limits teaching political beliefs. We didn't visit Morgan State wall comes down. Tim Scott and Black Republicans. Question of the week: what are two things you can never eat for breakfast? Little known Black history fact was about Dr. Percy Julian. We by Black segment featured Venus Williams 11. Check her out. All hell no went to Coach Mark Taylor, and we gave it up to Pearson and Jones. They got reinstated by the Tennessee legislature. So as always,
thank you, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us today. And as always, in parting, we wish you love, peace, and soul.
and so y'all have a good one. We will see you next week.